good Wednesday morning. It's 6 o'clock. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you very much for getting your day started with us. And good morning to Miller over in the Weather Center, organizing his papers and whatnot there on the desk.
A lot of notes. I got lots of notes over here with everything that's going on. It's just crazy weather out there. That excessive heat finally kicking in today, and it's going to stay with us for a while. And you know, the outlooks, for the summer, above average with our temperatures, below average with our precipitation. So yeah, toasty and dry is what we're looking at for maybe the long haul, folks. 65 right now at the airport, humidity at 36, winds out of the west at about 7 miles an hour. We are going to get hotter today. Look, 92 yesterday. We're going to try to go up to 97 today. So that excessive heat, like I mentioned, really starting to come into play. No rainfall yesterday. In the hole for the month, over 3.5 inches in the hole for the year. Now, we do have maybe some rain in the forecast coming as early as tomorrow. We'll tell you about that here in just a little bit. Right now, as we take a look at temperatures across the viewing area, we've got White Sulphur Springs at 52, over in Colstrip. We're at 62, down in Graybull at 62 as well, Belfry at 64. So a lot of more 90s across the board today, and even some 100s. Our hottest day of the week, actually 3 days here, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, with Thursday and Friday maybe a chance to see some record heat here in Billings. We'll go with a high today of 97, well above average. Lots of sunshine to get us there. Victoria, on this social media day.
It's always exciting when you get some likes and follows and retweets, but let's share a tweet that got one of the most numbers of retweets, one of the highest numbers of retweets. So this is a man here in the United States who wanted free, I think it was Wendy's chicken nuggets, right? And so he wanted to know how many retweets do I need to get? See, this is how good I am at social media. I don't know how to word my wording around social media language. But anyways, he wanted free chicken nuggets from Wendy's, and so he said, how many retweets do I need to get? And they responded 18 million. And how many did he get? I can't see from here because he ended up with 3 million.
So he came short of it, but
they gave him the free nuggets after all. Yeah, it's the third most retweeted tweet ever. Tweet, 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 tweet.
Rockin' Robin.
Call me a little birdie out on the.
All right.
And I found another reason why I love birds so much. I love birds. I have bird feeders. This is random, but we're talking about Twitter. I guess there's a connection. I saw one eat a moth yesterday, and I'm like, yes.
Oh, good.
Birdie. Thank you, little chickadee. You're my best friend.
We'll bring them in here and take care of the moths that are in here. We got Mothra flying around the studio here today.
I'd rather have birds and put up the bird feeders in here and I'm catching moths. Anyways, tweet. I'll tweet about it.
Okay. Right.
I'll get to news, Miller. Thanks. Our top story this morning, we're just a day away from July, meaning America's birthday is fast approaching. While some will have to get creative with how they celebrate, a countywide fireworks ban won't apply within Laurel city limits. Officials there are giving the go-ahead for residents to put on their own fireworks shows this 4th of July with a few rules attached. Fireworks can only be set off on the 4th of July between 8 and 11 a.m., then again from 9 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. On the days surrounding the holiday, they can be set off during those morning hours just mentioned and from 9 to midnight. Outside of the city, fireworks are still banned. That's because Yellowstone County is under stage 2 fire restrictions. But Laurel fire officials say since fireworks were legalized within city limits, it's actually made Independence Day safer.
Years past, we ran up to 25 calls on the day of the 4th. Since we legalized fireworks in the city limits, we run 3 to 4 calls on the day of the 4th.
Laurel firefighters ask people to stay away from dry grass and have a water source nearby when lighting off fireworks. The firefighters will put on their annual show at dark on Sunday. The city will also have its grand parade at 11. And new national data shows a recent and significant increase in injuries and deaths caused by fireworks. CBS's Elise Preston has more on how to keep your family safe this summer.
Michael Spencer wants everyone to know about the dangers of fireworks.
Leave the fireworks to the professionals.
At a backyard barbecue in 2015, a mortar shell changed his life in an instant.
I lost my pinky, I lost my ring finger, the tip of my middle finger, and my thumb from my left hand. On my right hand, I lost my index finger and the tip of my middle finger and damaged my thumb.
Data shows a spike in fireworks injuries and deaths during the pandemic. A Consumer Product Safety Commission report says at least 18 people died in 2020 compared to 12 in 2019. About 15,600 people were treated in emergency rooms, up from 10,000 the year before.
Many of the municipalities around the country had canceled their public fireworks displays, and it may have been that consumers took their own celebrations into their backyards and into their own hands.
Most injuries from fireworks occurred now in the month around the 4th of July.
8 of those 18 deaths were to someone who had been using alcohol or drugs. You need to be very careful when you're using fireworks.
Also, experts say never let children use fireworks, including sparklers, which burn at 2,000 degrees. Never try to relight or pick up a firework that is malfunctioning, and keep a bucket of water or hose nearby. Michael has had 16 surgeries to try to rebuild his hand.
This happened to me for a reason. So if we can prevent one person from getting hurt or losing their life, what I've been through is well worth it.
He hopes others get the message. Elise Preston, CBS News.
The report shows firecrackers cause the most trips to the ER, followed by sparklers. Continuing our coverage, the Montana Supreme Court is moving forward with a case which could define the legislature's power to subpoena judicial documents. The court denied a request from GOP lawmakers to dismiss the case, which is part of their effort to uncover any bias within the state judiciary. One justice said the court will still hear the case because it is one of serious public interest, and there's no guarantee the legislature won't try to use its subpoena power again. Republican lawmakers maintain they're just trying to view public documents from the court to see if it's hiding anything. Meanwhile, a state district judge just blocked a GOP-led law banning voter registration drives on the state's college campuses. He also blocked language within that law that would force Montana judges to recuse themselves from cases involving attorneys who donated to their campaign. The judge said both provisions have the potential to cause significant harm, such as violating free speech or disrupting the court system. The law will be blocked until the judge decides its constitutionality. With record highs rolling back into Billings again this week, there's worry over the city's water capacity during scorching temperatures. As Q2's Andrea Lutz reports, it starts as soon as you turn your faucet on.
After a record hot June, water operators in the city of Billings are carefully monitoring water usage. That's because all of us keep turning on our sprinklers, trying to keep our grass green.
Massive pipes are funneling water to your home as fast as they can.
This has been an unusually hot June.
But when the sprinkler is going and the summertime heat is on, water usage increases. And this year,
Because of that, we've seen unprecedented numbers for this time of year.
engineer Louis Engels says peak demands are not normally seen in June, and instead in July or August.
Our plant is sized for 60 million gallons per day, and we're consistently hitting above 50 million gallons per day right now.
That's equivalent to a pool of water 140 feet high over the surface of a football field, which he says right now is 4 times what they normally use during non-peak months, like in the winter.
Through this point in June, we've used 42% more water this year than last year.
He says think about that when you're turning on your sprinkler. And for how long?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday are our worst days. They're about 5% higher than any other day. We see it from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. We see this huge peak in the system. If we could get people to space it more throughout the night, that would really help us. I wouldn't recommend watering during the heat of the day. Obviously, that doesn't make sense.
As of right now, he says there's no plans to restrict. But
it will depend a lot on July and August. We'll have to see if that's something that needs to be implemented. It's definitely being considered.
Because there's still a lot of summer left, and who knows what sort of heat records Billings could still break. So he recommends customers do all they can to make their homes drought resistant. In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
Andrea tells us the West End has the highest usage of water. There's also a lot of new growth and new yards filled with sod. There's been a recent uptick in the number of Montanans dying from using the drug fentanyl. In 2020, 41 Montanans passed away from a fentanyl overdose. Yet, less than halfway through 2021, 22 have already died. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid, and law enforcement officials say its increased usage is not a surprise.
The popularity of fentanyl has increased simply because we've gotten better at controlling opioids. Better at the prescription. So when it gets harder to get an opioid from your physician, you're going to look for something else as a resource. It used to be heroin. When fentanyl is 100% more potent and you need less of it, all of a sudden it becomes more popular, even though the risk can be fatal.
Police across Montana are finding counterfeit pills disguised to look like legitimately prescribed opioids, but they actually contain fentanyl. In March alone, first responders were called to 68 opioid overdose calls, the most in the past 3 years. This is not just a Montana problem. Federal agents are worried about the surging amounts of fentanyl smugglers are trying to bring to the U.S. from Mexico. Border Patrol says it has recovered 41 pounds of fentanyl so far this year. That's compared to just 9 pounds last year and 2 pounds in 2019. The DEA says the drug is becoming a popular choice for drug cartels because it is highly profitable, extremely potent, and easy to smuggle. At least 12 people are dead and more than 140 are still unaccounted for in the Surfside, Florida building collapse. CBS's Laura Podesta has the latest on the search for survivors, plus what questions investigators are trying to answer.
Piece by piece, crews are methodically removing debris from the collapsed building in Surfside, Florida.
You find strollers and baby bottles, stuffed toys, it just brings a sense of reality to the moment.
Officials remain optimistic that search teams will find survivors.
It is their life's work to search for people alive, and they are truly the best in the world.
It's unclear why the 40-year-old building came down, but it's clear it needed work done. In April, the condo board president wrote a letter detailing $16 million in repairs. The observable damage, such as in the garage, has gotten significantly worse, she wrote, adding the concrete deterioration is accelerating.
This is a puzzle.
Alan Kilsheimer is a structural engineer who's been hired by the town to investigate the collapse. One piece of that puzzle is figuring out what a lobby attendant heard.
A muffled boom, and then X number of seconds later, a much bigger boom, and then Y seconds after that, a much bigger boom. I think I understand the second one. I think I understand the third one. I don't understand the first one.
Residents of the building's sister tower say there have been significant inspections there this week.
We had about 20 inspectors here at the building. They were inspecting everything, police, fire.
Kilsheimer said he looked at that building's garage and didn't see anything that showed an imminent danger of collapse. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
With hurricane season heating up, officials are also looking at the remaining part of the collapsed building to see if it can hold up against hurricane force winds. President Joe Biden will visit the site of the collapse tomorrow. He and the First Lady will visit with family members of the victims. The White House says the president also wants to personally thank the first responders and search and rescue teams who have been working nonstop since last week's collapse. The president has offered federal help with the search and rescue efforts. Americans receive nearly 130 million robocalls a day, but today is the last chance for phone companies to adopt new technology that could stop many of those calls. CBS's Dina Demetrius explains.
They're the calls no one wants to receive.
I've noticed that I've been getting tons of them. On a bad day, I've gotten over 6 before.
It's really annoying. Most of my calls I let go to voicemail.
The calls are often scams. Con artists can spoof numbers to make it look like it's coming from your area code or even a government agency.
This call is regarding to your social security number. We found some fraudulent activities under your name.
But many of these messages could soon be blocked. The FCC deadline is here for every major U.S. phone provider to adopt a technology called STIR/SHAKEN, which validates a call and means the number you see is legit. CNET's Ian Scher.
So in theory, a fake phone call or a spoofed phone call will not be able to get through. SHAKEN and STIR is supposed to be built into the networks, so you won't have to do anything for it to work.
It's hoped STIR/SHAKEN will significantly cut down the number of robocalls we receive. but it won't completely stop them.
Whenever you build any type of security, people are going to find a way around it.
For example, spam callers are still able to buy legitimate 1-800 numbers or go through overseas phone companies that don't have the STIR/SHAKEN technology. Sure says that's why you shouldn't answer calls you don't recognize.
When you pick up your phone and the scammers know that you're on the other end of the line, they mark you as someone who could potentially be a victim one day. And they actually sell your phone number to other people saying, hey, there's someone on the other end of this who's willing to pick up.
There are other ways to hang up on scammers. Many companies offer apps with extra protection that can help make sure the calls you receive are real. Dina Demetrius, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Stick with us here on Montana This Morning.